You guys, I want to know your opinion at the end of this video on if you think this guy actually escaped or if you think he's dead right now. Or do you think, like, what do you think? I just want to know your opinion because, like, let's just get straight into the video. I'm going to put my Telegram link in the description box down below, and you guys should click in, and so you could relate with me or whatever. You could talk to me about cases or cases that you are interested in that you think I should cover, thereabout. Or if you just want to drop in and say hi, I mean, that's cool too, because yeah. So hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day, not just a good day. So in today's case, we're going to be talking about a 3-in-1 serial killer, rapist, and an armed robber. So like, he's basically everything in one, and possibly even more, but these are the three main things that he did. And we're going to be talking about none other than Ananias Mathe. So Ananias Mathe was born in 1967, and he was the fourth child out of 11 children. So he basically was a son of a polygamous family, but out of all 11 children, there were only 2 that survived at the end of the day. So leaving him and his sister as the only 2 children of the Ananias family. While he was growing up, he was really, really smart. He was like even the best academically in his school while growing up in mathematics. He was really, really smart. And he also worked for the Defense Armed Forces in Mozambique. Then along the line, he moved to South Africa with his wife that he met in Mozambique. And they were basically living a happy, not too rich, not too just average, income man family, and they were just living very okay. When he moved to South Africa, after a while of residing there, he met another woman that he supposedly fell in love with, and he married her. So he basically had 2 wives, Celeste and Elizabeth, and they had in total 7 children, and he was the one taking care of everyone, basically also the wives' families, taking care of them, even his mom back in Mozambique. He was basically like the breadwinner of not just his family, but like of other families too, and the pressure was maybe a lot for him. I really don't know, because I feel like you don't need to do that if you don't want to, but knowing that these particular people are your family, you wouldn't want to compromise being in a good relationship with them, especially when you're married to their wife. Yeah, whatever, that's like a whole other side of the story. So, but I think what happened with him is that everything was becoming so overwhelming for him, because immediately he got to South Africa, he was not stealing, he wasn't doing anything, he was actually working and doing a good job. It might not have been the best paid, but whatever. And then he eventually started resorting to robbing, raping women, and stealing on the streets of South Africa. And he only got better. In South Africa, it was seen that around the area where he lives, people usually secure their homes with dogs also outside their houses. So he would literally buy sausages and inject poison into them and throw them over the fence just so that the dog dies and he can enter into the house to rob or rape women. And he will usually even stalk his victims before he does this. He will know that, okay, this woman is alone, or oh, this woman's husband is leaving for work every morning by so time, so this will be the best time. He always did that. He always like made his research. So it was very, very crazy how he just kept getting better over time, and he was never caught. On the 19th of August in 1999, he broke into Alwan Hirsch and Diane's home with a flashlight and a gun, holding it to their faces. It was dark, and he entered into the house, and he basically just pointed a flashlight at them after turning off their electricity system outside of their house, so they couldn't see anything, and probably thinking it was just like a malfunction or electricity malfunction. They basically stayed in and were probably trying to call an electrician or something before they heard noises in front, and Ananias surprised them with a gun. So they didn't even see him at first. They just saw the torchlight. They just saw that the torch was flashing, and then they just heard some voices, telling them to obey whatever it is that they said. So they had to like cooperate, and he stole some things in their house, like sound systems. And he had been doing this before then, actually, but this is the first recorded cases that was said to have been reported that Ananias did. But before this case, is like from 1999 to 2003, this guy was just stealing different things, roads, houses, sound system, but they never reported. This was the first case that was actually reported. So in December of 2003, he also broke into another woman's home called Tracy Jacobson. And he also entered into her house with a flashlight and a gun, which is also what he did in the last criminal offense that he basically did. So I'm guessing that this was a routine for him. Okay, so he basically would enter inside the house and just point a flashlight at them, which is so weird and creepy. But on this particular day, that was what he did. But unfortunately enough, Tracy's son was at home. So when he saw that he had a son with him, so Ananias was trying to rape her. But, knowing that her son was there, she didn't want her son to experience something so traumatic. So she tried to fight it off to the extent that she hit his hand and, they got into a physical battle. She managed to fight it off and fight him to outside the yard. And that was when she kicked him out, and before she ran back in to close the door, Ananias had already shot her in the leg, and he shot her 2 more times. Then he entered and stole sound system TVs, different valuables from her house, and eventually ran away. This woman actually ended up not dying, thank God. She survived the shootings, which was like basically a miracle, and she reported to the police afterwards. I'm guessing Ananias also wanted to rape her, but because he saw how difficult everything was just to collect valuables, he couldn't do that. So he just eventually ran away. I'm guessing the taking of valuables was more important to him. So from 2003 to 2004, he basically did serial, like he was literally raping women all about, even women that were homeless under the street. He was just being so rampant with his raping. So I'm guessing that that's what he also wanted to do to that woman, but he just didn't have the chance to. Ananias didn't just stop there. A year later, in 2004, he broke into Charles and Julie's home in South Africa also, and he broke in by around 3 a.m. Charles saw him from the moment that he entered with his flashlight as his weapon and probably thought that that was the only weapon that he had. So Charles tried to fight him off, but when he tried to do that, he immediately saw that he was with a gun. So he started throwing little objects that were inside the room at Ananias, and Ananias got angry and shot him in the collarbone. When he shot him in the collarbone, he ended up stealing their car keys and driving their car out of the compound. Told them to face head down on the floor until he leaves like 1 hour later. And it's just such a miracle how he just keeps on shooting people at this point and none of them died. It's just crazy. So that was what happened, and they immediately went to report to the police, which was like the 3rd case that was reported about Ananias with the same description that the other victims had given to the police. Not even up to a week after he did this, he basically raped a 28-year-old woman in Parkhurst, and he also broke into a Parkhurst home and raped a 21-year-old woman. So he basically was going rampant at this point, especially with the fact that nobody was holding him accountable. Like, the police were looking for him, but they did not know that these same crimes were committed by the same person. Like they were just like, okay, crimes are happening because obviously other crimes will be happening around the area. So they did not realize that it was still the same person that they were looking for the robberies in the past. On the 16th of December, Haida Smith was asleep in her apartment, and she just saw some flashlights, like some lights flashing in her sitting room. So she decided to go and open the bedroom door to check, and that was when she was pointed a gun at. And he basically pointed a gun at her and told her to be quiet, which she was. Then he used a cable from her TV to tie her legs and another cable from her decoder and tied her arms, and he raped her. And after doing this, he took her car keys and he basically ran away. Like, he just zoomed off at this point. Like, I don't know how this guy was not caught, honestly. He was just doing this too often. Like, it's actually just so sad and annoying that he got away with this for so long. The good thing about this is that during the time that he actually broke into Heidi's house, this was where they got DNA evidence of who this particular person was, because he left his fingerprints and stuff like the door handle, you know, the light bulb. I don't know why his hand was even on the light bulb. But like, yeah, I think he started getting more confidence in his crimes, because in the past he would actually use gloves to rob, like, you know, and his ski mask. But he didn't do this time. You know, he was very, 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 very confident that he was not going to get caught. So on the 31st of January in 2005, he was caught when he went back to Mozambique. There was a police informant that was around the area of Mozambique that kind of knew that he was a criminal, and this person informed the police. So the police came all the way to Mozambique to arrest him, and they took him back to South Africa, where he went to prison. And not even up to 3 months after, he escaped. How do you allow someone that is this, like, to escape? Like, and funny enough, like back in Mozambique, you know, he was known as the rat. He will always get caught and escape laws or police, you know, even when a lot of people are committing crimes or he's with a gang, you know, even if they catch everybody in the gang, he will be the only one that will manage to get out, you know. So he was called Ananias the Rat, you know, his nickname was the Rat. So when he escaped, he went to Northwest and Limpopo to continue his crimes, and not even up to some days or, you know, months after, he went back to Johannesburg in Parkhurst, and he basically just continued his life and continued his crimes, obviously. He was caught again in November of 2005 in Johannesburg, where he raped a woman in Germiston. It was like called the Germiston rape. He made sure that the boyfriend of the person he was raping was watching them as he was raping her. Like, oh my God. So the boyfriend obviously had to abide by Ananias' rules, and, like, you know, because of that, like how Ananias made him watch, he could be able to recognize Ananias and report his features to the police, and that's how Ananias was caught. After that, Ananias was taken to the C-Max security prison in Pretoria, which is like the highest security prison actually in all of South Africa. And that was when the police started going to get some research about him. They were just finding little details about his past life, about how he, you know, his mom, his dad, how he grew up, how he was smart, you know, and everything. And this was also when they found out that he was also known as the Rat in Mozambique. And, you know, it's just very crazy how they saw how many cases he was linked to, and he ended up not getting arrested after all this while. So because of how raucousy everything was in South Africa, the people now called him the Houdini man, you know, like the guy that could do a lot of stuff and get away with it, and, you know, like the Rat, how he was known in Mozambique. And unfortunately enough, even people that did not know at first that he was actually a criminal also while he was in Mozambique, but he never got caught, you know, like they never linked him to any of the crimes. That was why in the beginning I said, you know, he was working, but actually he wasn't just working, he was also a criminal, you know, like he was doing the two, you know, he was living the best of both worlds apparently. In 2006, Ananias was known as the first person to ever escape high max security prison in South Africa. Like, this just seems like this is a script or a movie. Honestly, like, how does this person just keep getting away from me? Like, how does he keep on, you know? So the police now got like really pissed off to go and find out more information or to find out where he could be. So they go to Mozambique to talk to his family members. His family members said that they have no idea where he is or where he could be. And it's just so funny because everybody would have thought that, you know, when you escape somewhere so big like that, you go to Mozambique to your family first or tribe. But like, no, someone that's smart will actually not do that, you know. So I don't know why they were shocked that this actually was what happened. And the police was trying to also find out more information about where he could have gone to, you know, does he have family elsewhere and everything. But the police were very hostile into answering their questions because apparently some of the police officers were on Ananias's payroll, you know. They didn't want to give up information about him or anything because they were friends with Ananias. So which kind of explains why he was kind of getting away with those crimes back in Mozambique. And then the police also found out that, you know, Ananias was building a very big mansion in Mozambique. Like, you know, where did you get all this money from? Obviously from all the theft and the stealing and, you know, everything, and reselling the cars that he stole, you know, like, it's just so freaking crazy. So the police gets back to South Africa looking for Ananias, and they basically didn't find him or found any trace of him anywhere. So on the 4th of December in 2006, he broke into Cameron Michael John's house, and he was with his wife and his daughter. And then when he saw that his daughter was there, that's Ananias I'm talking about. When Ananias saw that they had a daughter, he told both the man and the wife to take their daughter inside the next room while they come back out and face their heads on the floor, obviously at gunpoint. So they did that. Then Ananias took their car keys and took their car and ran away. And not long after this, Cameron Michael reported to the police and also contacted Alta Nectar, which is a car tracking company. So this car tracking company actually did a whole lot. They tried to help, at least. Like, it was basically like a very huge deal for them. There were two men that were sent by Alta to actually help look for this case. So they brought in helicopters, other cars on land, to try to find out where Ananias is, or rather where the car was. I don't think they really cared where Ananias was. Their job was just to find the car. So days go into this particular company searching for the car of Michael, and they did not find anything up until one day. They just saw the car, after much searching and tracking and trying to find out where the car was, and they found Ananias sleeping inside the car. And the only bad thing is that they came with an helicopter. So Ananias was kind of smart enough to realize that the helicopter was coming for him, so he just basically started running. And these two men started running on foot too. And at a point in one of the junctions, they lost Ananias, so they had to start going into houses, searching for where Ananias was around the neighborhood. And then they eventually caught him. And when they caught Ananias, they started searching him to find out if he had any dangerous weapons on him, but he was clear. So they basically just took him on the way back to the van. And his shirt was tied to his wrist, because when they caught him, he threw away the bag that he was wearing. He removed his shirt also. While he did this, while running, guys, like while running, he tied his orange shirt to his hand, because he found out that the color of his shirt was quite bright, so it was easy for them to find him, like from up there. So he was actually a quite smart guy. He was actually a smart guy, let's not lie. Like, because if I'm running, I would not even think of the fact of what I'm wearing, whether it's bright or not. I'm just going to just keep running. So he was actually a very smart guy. So when they caught Ananias, they were taking him back to the van that the helicopter, the company van, that they were going to put him in and probably take him to the police station. Ananias turned around and stabbed one of the guys in the eye. So basically meaning that when they searched Ananias, he hid the knife, a very short table sharp knife, inside the shirt that he tied on his hand. I don't know how you search someone and you did not search that thing, like, but like I said, they searched, but they didn't find anything. Probably, it was just hidden properly. I really don't understand. And I stabbed one of the guys in the eye and started running again. But these guys knew that if Ananias ran away, they probably would never find him again. So what did they do? They took the gun out of their pocket and they shot him 3 times. And that was when Ananias collapsed on the floor. So, like, yeah, he needed that, because he was just going to get away again. He needed to be shot, not even going to, like, he needed to be weak to get him back to that prison. Ananias was then taken to the hospital to receive treatment. Apparently, he was even sick before the whole shooting. So the shootings even made him even weaker. So he was sick. They were trying to make sure that, he was well, healthy, and alive so that he can do his trial in 2007. So later on in 2007, he went for his trial. And Ananias had 150 witnesses ready to testify against him. But 2 out of those witnesses ghosted, and we just didn't find them again. And all of his victims were actually white. And it is very, very weird, because it's very rare to, like, cross-racial type, like when you're committing crimes. Like, he just basically never attacked any black person, So was it like a racial thing? I doubt. I don't think so. I just felt like he just felt like the white people were rich, just that. So he got a 54-year sentence for 64 charges, including murder, attempted murder, rape, hijacking, and he was even more than, like I said, he was more than three in one. And Ananias was Ananias was just being very, very, very generous with his crimes at this point. Like, he was all in one. Like, he was basically all of it. So in 2016, Ananias fell sick, and the everybody in the prison, like the wards and everything, thought that he was faking it just to try to make an escape, because they found out about his history and how he always used to escape. So they're trying to really make sure that he had no chance of escaping. But actually, he was actually really ill at this point, and he actually wasn't faking it. He died on the 27th of December of 2016 from urinary retention and constipation in King's Ward Hospital. Some people still believe that he is alive and he paid off the police officers to run away and he's just living low-key somewhere. But I actually believe that he has died, because if he hadn't, at least we would have heard one more story about him. He would have committed one more crime. It's like he was kind of addicted to the crimes, yeah, right? So, like, what do you think? Do you think he's alive somewhere, like some people say? Because people say he's the rat, and that he always escapes from situations. But the only way he escaped at this point, to me, is death. He escaped through death. So that's the only way I feel like he actually is dead. Because someone like that, even if you release them from prison, I'm sure he was going to commit one more crime, unless, like, divine intervention at this point. So yeah, that is the end of today's case. I hope you guys loved and enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you in my next video. Don't forget to enter my Telegram link, because I actually want to talk to you guys. I have just 6 people in there, so I want like at least like 100. Like, let's have a conversation, something like, yeah. So bye guys.